Quickly before this video starts, I want to give a warning that my professionalism throughout the video gradually vanishes. There are some points where I am half yelling, there are other points where I am crying as I'm talking. There are some points where I forget that this video will actually have an audience outside of the person this video is concerned with, and so instead of referring to the subject in third person tone, I actually drop into second person. I just want to give forewarning now. It might be a little startling to some viewer, however, I promise that this is purely anomalous to this situation only, and is completely not normal for me. I hope that you can understand. Thank you. Hello everyone. I didn't want to make a video like this, but a situation has been brought to my attention. Before you watch this video, I want you to watch another video by the YouTuber Sai, who made their own video about the situation, which covers it at a more surface level than this one will. This video will go into a lot more detail. The details of this video are going to be a lot more graphic and a lot more upsetting than in Sai's video. So I urge you to watch Sai's video first so you can know what I'm talking about, and then come to watch mine if you can brave the details that I'm going to disclose. Ultimately though, this video is going to be centered around a situation that has come to my attention recently. So there's a trigger warning for just about anything you can imagine in relation to texting minors inappropriately, because that is exactly what has happened. And I wanted to make this video into two parts, where I could talk about just this situation in the first part, and then I could talk about how the community also has these predatory behaviors when interacting with each other, the interactions that happen in chats and role plays between minors and adults and such like that. Unfortunately, the runtime of this video, I don't have the storage on my PC to upload it all in one, so I'm forced to split this into two parts. This part is just the analysis of the situation that has been presented to me and what we can learn from it, and what I am going to do moving forward in regards to minor safety in my community. The second video then after this will be about the community as a whole, the Identity V community, and how we can keep ourselves safe. Some situations that I have encountered as I've been playing through the years with inappropriate adults and such like that, inappropriate minors as well, and then what we can all learn from all of that. Ultimately, the main lessons here are surrounding consent and keeping yourself safe online. This video is not meant to be a call out. It is purely for educational purposes, so please do not harass anyone from either side, whether it's myself or the victim, anyone close to the victim, the other person involved. I don't want any harassment coming from this video to anyone else, please. Thank you very much. That is not my intention. I am merely making this for the purpose of educating and putting out awareness into the harm that these behaviors have. With that out of the way, I hope that you can watch this video with caution, and I hope that you can also enjoy this video despite its dark subject matter. Okay, so we gotta start from the start of what I know and what I witnessed, and then we will go into the discussions I had. It started off with a friend request that I received. The person who requested me left a nice message, and I decided I would add them back to say, thank you. That was really, nice. And so that's what I did. So I added them back, and I didn't send them a message immediately because I had just uploaded, or was just about to upload, my Mary Patroller video. So I was kind of exhausted. I kind of didn't really want to initiate a conversation on that particular day. So I decided to leave it up to the other person. If they wanted to reach out, then I would reply back. If they just never reached out, then maybe I would, reach out on a different day. But I didn't want to be the first one to initiate contact. They reached out to me first, a few hours after I accepted. I accepted at 12:01 server time, and they got back to me at 4:08. And I said my, polite conversation, hello, your message is quite nice, so I wanted to say thank you. They told me that they're gonna screenshot it, that they adore me, that they would ask me then if they can post the conversation to their TikTok, and I said, yeah, I don't have issue with that. I did not ask, but I am glad that they volunteered their age to me. He would tell me that he's turning 18 soon and going to work and spend every penny on this game to buy Mary's SS tier and to inherit me. And I asked them to clarify what that meant because I didn't know what that meant, and they said it meant like to follow in footsteps. And I'm like, okay, that's okay. I understand. I said if that's what they want, then go for it, some more dialogue about how happy they are. I had some dialogue about, I like Mary a lot. If you like her, then that's, it's quite nice to see. I reminded them, be responsible and save some money. Don't blow it all, because I know how horrible it feels to have no money. They said they never seen such a kind person like me. I said that it's probably from my upbringing, but I don't believe on being cold to strangers that I haven't met. If you haven't done anything wrong to me, then why hold you like you have? I don't think people are inherently bad, and don't judge until I am shown otherwise. They said their hands are shaking. I told them to take a breath. I told them I don't want to have them scared out of existence, and they laughed at that. And I said that I just, thank you really. I think you seem reasonable and nice. If you keep it up, then others will be sure to find you the same. Good things follow good people. I hope you will find good luck follows you too. I won't message too much. We are still strangers, however, I am grateful nonetheless. Thank you. Bless you a lot. Ayato. That is the interchange we had on IDV, and we have not spoken since. Because I set the boundary there to say, hey, you don't actually know me, so let's keep distance. I would then go to bed and wake up the very next day to a message on TikTok in my message requests, which I was actually scared by at first, bless, because I get some weird messages from fans on TikTok. The audience I have on TikTok are vastly different to what I have on YouTube, and they are a little more uncontrolled, shall we say. So when I open DMs from them, I'm kind of expecting anything from a fanfic they've wrote about me and them together to just some mundane cat video someone decided to send me. I open up the DMs, and what is awaiting me is someone asking for a moment of my time to listen and hear what they have to say. I have asked someone to voice the conversation for me, and I am going to play it now with the messages on screen for you to read as well.
Hi, I don't really know if you care or not, but you have a clip at Friends in Identity V. I have most screenshots of the part where they said to show me something nasty and stuff. I also have a screenshot of their Identity V profile. They like an anime that has bad scenes in it with literal minors. I don't really know if you care, but just telling you to protect yourself from those Romanian creeps.
Wait.
I can send you their profile along with proof.
I am interested to discuss this with you. I do not ever want to associate myself with creeps. Yes, please.
They kept speaking about all sorts of BLs plus new Carnival.
I have to familiarize myself with that.
I got the less gross screenshots, but they told me they sent me gore from some game.
Sorry if I sound disjointed, it's quite early for me. Excuse me? Ah yeah, this is disgusting of them.
BL stands for boys love, and in manhwa is a genre that usually has a lot of in it. I'm sorry for saying these words.
No worries, no. I'm glad you bring this to me.
I believe their username in game is Yuri Ayato or the opposite.
Oh, Jesus, that's a fan who added me recently.
That name belongs to an underage character that is also from an anime that contains That character is actively engaging in the itself, sadly, so I believe the name was targeted towards that character since they sent me an edit with the song.
With the pink hair. I'm not familiar with the anime much. I look into it now, it's disturbing to me.
Me neither, as I've never watched it. I just know the song. It was popular all over 2019-2020, I believe.
Is there more information? I'm quite devastated to find this still, but I want to know the severity. I will be in adding them. And by that I meant unadding. But if it's graver than that still, it might be something I need to speak on. Wildly inappropriate. Yes, I would like to see if that will be okay with you.
I have their profile to meetings.
Is username by the name thing or the smaller text? I don't use it often.
Username, let me give you mine.
Yes, please. I am sorry. I'm not good with these things. So, the BL love that was mentioned, Yarichin B club, I couldn't find any confirmed ages. In fact, when I was looking into it, I found just about everything you can imagine relating to age. When you think of, like, disputes around it, I found subreddits dedicated to it's okay because of consent laws in Japan. I found subreddits dedicated to they're minors. And I found subreddits dedicated to the fact that they are adults with absolutely no confirmation anywhere to say that. So what I'm gonna say is they may or may not be adults. Let's take that with a grain of salt. I'm bringing this topic up not because I'm gonna critique the media. I don't. It's none of my business what people enjoy and consume in their free time. As long as you know these things are problematic, I don't care. But I will be bringing up this media again in particular because there are some elements of it in relation to what this person has said and done that are important to telling this accurately. So I will reiterate, I am not critiquing the media. This is not an analysis video on that BL. This is purely contextual information to this situation. Is that understood? Enjoy what you enjoy. I don't care about that. I'm not going to make a call out for every single person who likes this. I don't care. I really don't care. But in relation to messaging underage minors and exposing them to this type of content, it's important for me to discuss. I hope you understand. Thank you very much. Oh, and for anyone wondering why this is problematic if it's not about the ages, this web series still, how do you say? Still kind of, sensationalizes the idea of being and gang. Yeah, so with that's the problematic aspect that I'm personally gonna focus on because I have no direct evidence of ages. I hope you understand. Thank you. Actually, I'd like to share a short brief of a conversation I had with my sibling over Discord, where I mentioned the name to Aoi to ask if Aoi knew anything about it. And, you're gonna see the response is, well, you know. I kind of stared at my monitor for a while because I don't know what to say to that kind of response. And Aoi briefed me on what they know about it from actually having exposed themselves to it. I want to clarify, I have done my own research outside of Aoi. I asked Aoi because I wanted to see, because Aoi just kind of, really kind of knows like boy love stuff far more than me. It's not my thing, but it's Aoi's thing. That's why I asked Aoi, and obviously Aoi is not, exactly the most credible source, but it gave me a good estimate for understanding what exactly I was getting myself into by looking into these things. It's by my own research that I am quite more disturbed, but we will go into this more now as we start talking about screenshots. So as mentioned on TikTok, we moved over to Discord, and the very first message either of us sent to each other was from the minor sent me a message that I should prep myself. And I was terrified for how bad it could be. And then the screenshots came in. Now, I did not have the minor translate these. Not because they couldn't, obviously the minors speak Romanian. They're in Romanian, by the way. Obviously the minors speak Romanian, but, knowing that they were gonna have to tell me a lot of details, I wanted to spare them the agony that will come from translating word by word. So I reached out to another friend of mine who speak Romanian. They've asked to keep anonymous, so I'm going to respect their wishes, but I'm still going to discuss the work that they have done with me to be able to help make this video. This friend of mine is a good friend of mine, I consider, and I sent over the screenshots. I apologize profusely for even having to ask them to translate anything for me, but I sent over the screenshots, and the very first reaction that they had was, "It's disgusting." So I'm gonna show the screenshots along with the English translations that my friend has done. And we're gonna take it one at a time to break down what is going on, what is being said, why this is so disturbing to me and should be to everyone else as well. I should also mention that heavily graphic content will be either censored or omitted, because not only about YouTube guidelines, but some of the stuff in these messages are incredibly upsetting. And there were parts that my friend actually really could not translate because it was so graphic. So we are going to proceed the best that we can. I'm putting a heavy censor warning for the rest of this entire video. There are going to be constant mentions of there are going to be constant mentions of there are going to be constantly triggering things throughout this entire video, mentions of violence and so with that in mind, proceed onward with caution. You're going to have to pause to read these. I've provided both the screenshot in its full original Romanian as well as my lovely friend's translations. Some common things to note though, just at an eye glance, that you guys can maybe look at and notice, is how it always ends up something being brought up, something intimate, or some form of yaoi or anything along those lines is always being brought up by Ayato, and how usually V is talking about something else entirely or trying to change the subject. And we're going to talk about that more in detail. There are some things that some people are going to notice through here that I will be elaborating on for definite later on. During this video, there are references to some other manhwa and games that I need to discuss, like Dark Falls, there are, of course, the references to, as I mentioned, other manhwa, other games that I need to explore the context of as well. I need you to also note the references to... How do I say this? Like, this is so horrible to speak about. I need you to note the references to, like, body parts and stuff as well, because there are mentions of, like and boy that, you know, you shouldn't really be discussing that kind of stuff with, like, a 15-year-old, you know? So I want you to pay attention to all of that. There's also references, I mentioned Dark Falls, there's also a reference to slow damage. Some of you might recognize that name, maybe because you like slow damage. Again, like with Yarichin, I'm not gonna criticize you or judge you on that. I personally think it's kind of a shameful piece of media, but it's none of my business what people enjoy. It becomes my business when you are bringing it up with children now, and where I'm going to discuss thoroughly all of these things that are mentioned. Everything from New Carnival. I have already briefly discussed Yarichin, but I'm going to bring it up again later. I'm going to discuss Dark Falls, I'm going to discuss slow damage, so that you guys can all understand why every single one of these is awful, and why it's even worse to bring up to a minor. These messages are really hard to read. I'm sure you guys can or cannot imagine, but when I was first sent them and reading through them, without even knowing what Dark Falls and slow damage and stuff like that at the time was, because I didn't find out about that stuff until yesterday, and I found these screenshots, you know, when they were sent to me. I believe on the 24th, so it's been 4 days. And when they were first sent to me, I was in hysterical crying, because who speaks like this to a 15-year-old? Honestly, who talks about their and someone rubbing his and who constantly sends suggestive things to a 15-year-old, like the screenshot from what I can only presume to be a Gojo fan game? Who does that? And then obviously there are more screenshots as well that I will go through and introduce to you throughout this entire video. These are just the first ones that I'm going to focus on. But who does that? Really, who does that? Hi everyone, so I was just looking into slow damage because, you know, it's mentioned in the screenshots. Ayato threatens V that he's going to send, like, gore from a boy love called Slow Damage, which is a game. Now, Aoi actually knew this piece and could identify it from the screenshots and give me some background context before I looked into it myself. Even better than that, Aoi, with my permission, pulled up some screenshots. And that was the very moment I discovered I could never ever show this thing on YouTube. But for you guys to know the context of just how bad this game is in terms of, like, graphic and gore, the main character has a masochism being the to experiencing pain. Head to toe, pretty much, this guy is covered in fresh and old, and there is quite a fair bit of gore and blood through the entire thing. That's on the gore side of why I cannot show it. There is also, to his masochism, a slight self-destruction in the form of smoking and alcoholism, which is also explored through the game for the main character Toa. For the intimate details, in terms of like the adult content in this game, there are a couple main highlights I want to share with you guys, just because it might be mildly relevant, but more so it's just context on why I personally think that this is incredibly inappropriate, besides the fact that there are literal depictions in the game already, which should on its own be a good enough reason why you don't bring it up to 15-year-olds. So I'm gonna give you guys some more context about this game, and I'm gonna summarize it to keep it brief. There are a lot of problematic things, but the first and foremost is that there are numerous scenes and numerous implied non-con and such like that. Non-con being non-consensual. There are potentially 2 implied characters, but one is pretty much confirmed. So there's Asakura, and he like quite literally like he's a doctor, and there is a child that is like fond of him. Nothing actually happens in the game between those two, but there is a weird relationship there where it's like questionable, but there is also canonly in the story active allegations surrounding him. And it's the reason why Taku doesn't like him at all. But also, Taku himself is also possibly implied to be a groomer, and because he also gets with the main character, and there is like, I think it's the good ending where he, like, before he gets arrested, because he gets arrested, before he gets arrested, you go to his house and you, the main character, find a baby photo, and it's actually more like a toddler photo of yourself in his house. And then he gets out of prison. He was meant to serve 2 years. He's end up serving 1. He gets out of prison, and the ending is that you end up with that guy. And this guy is like near enough twice the age of the main character. So that one is a little more ambiguous, but Asakura is most definitely heavily spoken to be. It's also important to note that during your run with Taka, to get Taka's endings, it is hammered over and over and over into you again and again that these guys are a large age gap. I'm pretty sure their entire character dynamic is just there's also, as I mentioned, there's a really, really graphic scene actually that I cannot describe at all, but all you need to know is there is a lot of scene on just about every single run of this game. Again, it is, more than it is, meaningful or anything like that, which I'm not sitting here to say boy love should have meaning or whatever, it is content at the end of the day, that's what it is. But my point again is, why would you bring this up to a minor? Why would you threaten to send this kind of stuff to a minor? Those are the questions that I am asking as I'm recording this video, as I discover that this situation even exists. Because to me it seems pretty simple that this is completely inappropriate to even discuss with, I wouldn't even bring this up to most of my own adult friends, let alone minors. So I'm failing to understand where this behavior ever seemed okay. And quite honestly, I don't really want to listen to justifications or speculation on why Ayato might have thought that this was okay, because to me, point, full and through, it is disgusting, and there's nothing you can say that will make me change my mind. This is disgusting. I do not think that this is appropriate to be discussing with a 15-year-old, and I think it's really disgusting that it was ever mentioned, but that you ever threatened a 15-year-old with that. I think that's disgusting. I think that's really disgusting. I want to give clarification because I forgot to mention it somehow, but slow damage is actually rated 18+. Unsurprisingly. Which further solidifies that this should have never ever been brought up to V. I don't have anything more to say on this branch personally. I think I've done a good job explaining why it's not appropriate. I really don't want to talk about slow damage anymore, so we're just gonna move on to the next one now. I hope this summary was good. Yeah, let's move on. Let's move on. Okay, so the next one I researched was Dark Falls, which how do I even begin with this? There is no story. There is no story. The synopsis for it is the story. That is it. There is no story. It is just the main character, Leon, getting over and over and over and over and over for God knows how many chapters, pretty much straight, with some chapters having a random flashback, but immediately after he gets again by someone else, and then someone else, and then someone else. The entire comic is just a huge in every way that a mind could imagine, and the summary is that this should never have ever even been brought up with someone underage. What the f***? This should have never been brought up with someone underage. Because there's no story, I have no characters really to focus on like who's problematic, what my personal issues are with it, so I'm just gonna leave you guys with a bunch of screenshots on the screen right now of various different online reviews around it, so that you don't have to take my word from it. You can take everyone else's that I've found to say that this boy love not only is not appropriate for minors, but quite possibly is not worth your time if you're looking for anything with any kind of emotion in it at all. Because there is absolutely none in Dark Falls. It is just a fantasy for a writer who wants to subject their OC to every possible situation of imaginable. That is all Dark Falls is to me when I look into it, and that's the impression that a lot of other people have gotten to. Yeah, definitely not appropriate to be talking about with a minor or even trying to start a conversation with. I'm sorry about the tone of my voice. I'm getting really sick of talking about these, and we're only on the second one out of 5. I don't enjoy talking about this, is what I'm trying to say. Oh, me, bro. Okay, guys, so next we need to talk about new Carnival Bliss, which is its own thing. Look, listen, when I was doing the research into what this game is, one of the first places I looked was the official website, where I got slapped with this warning. Anyone who doesn't recognize a warning like this is the kind of warning you usually get when you're entering adult content websites, shall we call it. My dilemma is that this isn't even the actual game, this is just the official website, so I kind of struggled for a bit with, well, how much worse could the game be? Right? Because that's where all of the, actual content is. On the official website, I was able to find like little character sheets and stuff like that, kind of. There's quite a lot. There's quite a lot. So this game is undoubtedly not for minors in any way, shape, or form. Not safe for them. The main character literally had a job making adult toys. Which I found a comic of, which I can only show you the first 2 panels, because the other panels are far too graphic, and I am not gonna sit and take hours to censor all of that. But just know that it shows adult toys on the panels. There's also some other character panels that I will show you censored up. Some of the character designs I cannot show you, so they are completely omitted or censored. There are some characters that I am a little icky about, even though this game in general seems so much less bad than Dark Falls and Slow Damage. Those characters being Aster, who in another screenshot that Ayato has sent to V, I censored it up and I said that it's possible Shota. The reason I said this is because Aster is meant to be like 200 something years old, but looks 16 to 18. I couldn't find an official age. But in my personal opinion, he doesn't even look 16 to 18. He looks more like, 13 to 14, maybe even 12. I might be nitpicking there. I've marked it as Shota because there's nothing there that shows me anything older than that personally, but that's up to interpretation. And there's another character called Blade who, on the official website, I'm gonna read some of this out to you, is described as an eccentric youth residing deep within the dead zone, and is also described to have an innocent and naive disposition. He lacks basic common sense and has a penchant for collecting strange items which he labels as cute. Which, again, I might be nitpicking, but in a game like this, that kind of just reads to me like a really fancy way of saying childlike. I really might be nitpicking here, but those are my only gripes with this game. The content actually in it is not appropriate for minors, but if we're talking about from an adult perspective, it doesn't seem nearly so bad as Slow Damage and Dark Falls. Everything seems to be consensual from my findings. But it's still not appropriate for a 15-year-old to be exposed to because of the fact that there are intimate scenes that occur between these characters and the main character, and they are animated, voice acted, and they are also completely uncensored. Which also on the main website, I cannot play it for you, but there are there is a suggestive video of almost each character, as well as 2 normal voice line videos which just showcase the character's voice, and then 2 suggestive voice for each character, almost, with some exception, like Rin doesn't have, and I think Eden also doesn't really have as well. Take with that as you will. All of that is accessible from the website. I can't begin to imagine how much worse it gets in the game. Definitely, though, overall, not appropriate to be discussing with a 15-year-old. And sitting here looking into this stuff, I really am struggling to grasp for any reason why this was ever brought up with V. I don't understand. Let alone brought up once. No, it's Ayato sent screenshots from this game more than once of various characters in various suggestive outfits. It was never appropriate, actually, and I'm really bothered by looking into this game and then looking back at the messages. All I can think is, what the f***, you know? Even if there's no, like, or in this one, it's still wildly and suggestive in every way possible. I almost forgot to mention, don't look, but if you go onto the official Twitter, they make birthday posts for the characters, and even those are also suggestive. I contemplated trying to describe it on The Voice, or trying to describe it on a censored version of the image so you can get an idea of what the hell I'm talking about. But I'm not spending hours of work trying to censor up everything, because it is that graphic. They are that exposed. There is that much suggestive imagery in those kind of screen caps, and I just don't feel like it would even be appropriate for me to try and show. Or even describe. I just want you to know that it exists. There's nothing there for any kind of imagination, pretty much. It is... Again, you know, like with the website, they can show that kind of graphic stuff outside of the game. What is actually in the game then could be so much more graphic. And you're sending screenshots of this stuff to a minor? Really? Screenshots that I have had to censor because these are not even bad compared to what I know can also exist in the game. But it's still too much. Even this is still bad. You can't show this stuff to minors, really. It's not appropriate at all. And the more I look into this stuff, the more disgusted I am, because what the f***, you know? I just... Why, you know? What conversation could you possibly want to start with a 15-year-old that requires this type of material? I don't understand. You know? I don't get it personally. Maybe someone out there can explain it to me, but I personally don't understand what I would be wanting from a 15-year-old or anything along those lines if I were to ever bring this stuff up. I don't. You know what I mean? Like, I would never do it anyway, but that's not the point. God forbid life turns out terribly for me and I do turn to this type of stuff. Why the hell would I ever bring it up with children? Why? What would I be wanting other than to... I don't know, not just to expose, but there's gotta be something else here that you're wanting from the minor involved that I'm just completely missing. Maybe because I'm refusing to see any evil intent in you. You know? It might be my bad that I'm just too forgiving and trying to see the best in everyone here, but what the hell could you possibly want from V that I'm missing? I don't understand why you would ever bring this stuff up with someone that young. I don't. Because as I've said before, I would never even bring this stuff up to my adult friends if I were enjoying this type of stuff. This is the type of thing you're meant to enjoy in private, if you are going to enjoy it. Why? Because is it not awkward? Is it not awkward to talk about this stuff with other people? Is it not something that you're ashamed of? I don't understand. I don't get it. Why would you ever bring this stuff up with a child? What would ever make you think that this is okay? We're gonna swiftly move on because I'm starting to lose my cool. I'm gonna take like half an hour to calm down and then I'm gonna record the next segment. Thank you everyone for staying patient for this long video, and I'm so sorry. So, because Yarichin is such an important thing to this situation, both because Ayato's entire user is centered around this anime or a character in it in particular, and because it is also mentioned as well, I could not find much when I was looking into it outside of all the stuff I've already shown you, which is disputes around ages and such like that. So I have taken it upon myself to subject myself to this thing. It is 4:53 my time, and I am about to proceed. This is my recording before, and I will, once I'm completely done with the 2 episodes that this anime even has, I am then going to reconvene and tell you guys every little thing that is relevant to this situation. And I'm also going to give you a mini review, because why not? So, it is 4:54, I will see you guys in about an hour. Okay guys, it's been 22 seconds. Look, this is kind of relevant, okay? Listen. As you guys know, I am deaf, so I'm using subtitles. And even in the subtitles, they don't call this thing a college, they call it a private academy, which would give evidence to suggest that, the characters are minors. Just a little thing I notice. I'm gonna continue watching now. Please pray for me. Okay, I'm 6 minutes in. I had to pause it. Which one of these came first? I have 3 post-it notes of notes to read out, okay? 1:30, which is 1 minute 30, there was an introduction to vibrating adult toys, by which I wrote on the note, what the because they opened the photo club door and the character Ayato Yuri is, in a compromising position with compromising things being done to him by the other members involving a vibrating toy. The main character, Tuna, tries to leave the club, but is dragged back in by the other member, which I'm going to say probably constitutes harassment. And if that itself is not a qualifier for you, then they also put adult toys up to his face after dragging him back in, and if that is also not enough for you, then a guy called Tamura licks the back of his neck, and Tuna is very visibly distressed. The joining conditions for the club are that you must have with the boys in the school, and 1 month of abstinence is punished by which I'm going to straight up call is gang, because the punishment for not having is forced. Sounds like to me. The vibes that I got are that once you join, you cannot leave, because they have not explained any kind of leaving condition. So it seems like Tuna has just accidentally joined and then is now stuck. And if this is what this anime is going to be, I'm only 6 minutes out of 26 in this episode, but if that's all this is gonna be, then I'm going to check out very soon and not finish this, because what the and did I mention their ages as well, how they are pretty much, in my opinion, underaged? Well, I also have just learned now that the teachers are also customers. And by customers, I mean that the photo guys not only, service each other, they service the other members of the school as well, and their teachers too, apparently. So I'm inclined to say outright that the teachers are grooming the minors. Just by that nature, it's very inappropriate power dynamic to have. And I'm also very straight and firm to say that this anime is rather like at the very least for the huge age gaps. And I got all of that from the first 6 minutes of it. I really don't want to continue. Okay, we're 6:45. I'm sorry I keep pausing and unpausing. I said I was gonna give my thoughts at the end, but I literally cannot shut up. About 2 minutes ago, this guy was proclaiming he could never do it with men, and now he's sitting in front of a man going, oh, this guy's cute, I could probably do it with him. This is really disturbing to me. Like, maybe it's just not the type of thing that I could ever enjoy. This is really disturbing to me. Oh yeah, to find this anime so that I could watch it, I had to go on 8 different sites. Because it was just nowhere. It was just nowhere at all. Okay, it's 8:43 and there's some cousin on cousin stuff implied here. Why is this guy getting by his cousin rubbing his head? Why is there an innuendo for pre-intimate action to do with these two cousins together? There's implied. Is there anything else that I haven't accounted for yet? Why did I not find any of this when I was looking into this? That's it, I'm done. No more. No. I watched the first episode, I'm not watching anymore. Oh my god. That... When an anime has a genuine, real line that says, and I quote, "Let's catch him and him," the anime is not worth watching anymore. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Guys, I tried really hard. I can't do it anymore. I'm done. I'm done with this anime. I'm done. I'm not watching the second episode. And I don't care if that means I miss out on some important plot points or whatever else. I'm done. No. I'm not subjecting myself to this anymore. I'm done. So... yeah, don't watch the show. I did it because I wanted to give you guys accurate information about the show. And simultaneously, by doing this, I have tortured myself. But I have also discovered that people online are liars. A lot of my research going into this was a mix of my friends as well as things online blogs about games and stuff like that. I'm lucky to have friends who know these kind of things because of their own bad experiences. Maybe they were exposed to it when they were younger by someone who was older and stuff like that, you know? So when I was looking into Yarichin initially, I was not finding a lot of the stuff that I now know because I had to sit through the episode. A lot of the people online, when you look into this stuff, do not tell you everything that's in this type of show. They will defend the and the age gaps and the very obviously problematic things, and they will completely leave out the family love type things, you know? So, again, I have to ask, at what point was this ever okay to bring up to a minor? I keep asking that. That sounds so dumb. I keep asking that. Of course it's not appropriate. But I have to ask because I want to understand, at what point did your brain ever go, yes, let me show this to someone who's a minor? What is wrong with you? Genuinely, what is wrong with you? And, you know, like, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. How? How? There are literal, like, multiple, like, I counted 2, but there might have honestly been 3 intimate scenes in that episode alone. I don't even know what's in episode 2, and I'm never going to know because I'm not watching it. How did you think it was okay to talk to a minor about? How did you think it was okay to send edits of the show to a minor? I'm sure you sent character edits, but watching the show and discovering the kind of character that Ayato Yuri is, how did you ever think that was appropriate? So, with that knowledge in mind, for anyone who doesn't know about Ayato Yuri in the show, he is the vice president of the club and happens to be your like anime trope. Oh, I'm so erotic and turned on all of the time, and he's literally forever inappropriate. There's not a single line that comes out of him that is normal. He's not normal. He walks around the school barefooted. One. Which obviously caters to a foot by the way. He's covered in piercings, and in almost every single intimate scene, he is the forefront. Does that make sense? In episode... Yeah, I was right, it's 3. Oh my god, another one's just flashed in my head. Ugh! In episode 1, there are 2 very graphic intimate scenes where Ayato Yuri is the center focus. He is that kind of character. Everything he says and does is intimate in some kind of way. And he is what you would call, like, an intimate freak. That's him. That's his entire character. What the hell are you doing sending edits of a character like that to a minor? None of it is okay. None of it is okay. I could at least sit here and say, well, if it was Tuna, maybe it would be a little bit alright, because Tuna himself is kinda a little bit more innocent. Kind of a little bit not obsessed with that kind of dirty stuff. But you pick the dirtiest, freakiest character to obsess over and talk with a minor about. Why? I can't make sense of it. I genuinely can't make sense of it, and I dread to think, because V told me that you were in some servers as well, and I dread to think that you might also be talking to other people in servers about these kind of things. You know? Because you cannot verify the ages of people in servers, no matter how hard you try. Anyone can be lying about their age at any time, right? So I don't understand. I don't get it, you know? Why would you bring this up to V? V, who in just about every single screenshot I have shown thus far, which is like 7 or 8 now, and I have more, has shown active disinterest and tried to change the topic every time you have brought it up. Why? I don't understand you. I don't understand you at all. I genuinely cannot form a cohesive thought that makes any sense on why you would even think this is okay, because it makes no sense to me. You pick the most obsessive and weird character, the most adult character, in my opinion, in the whole show. Bear in mind, he's canonically 16. He says in the manga he's 16. You pick that character, of all characters, to obsess over and talk to a minor about. There are not words in the English language or across any other language I know that can express just how disgusted I am. Because what the hell? Seriously, what the hell? Why? The more I know that I'm meant to keep a level of professionalism, but the more I look into this stuff, the more angry I feel, because this should have never happened. Why? Genuinely, why? Answer me, because I don't understand. And I don't think I ever will. I think this is just one of these things where you might say something or you might not. You might never say anything. You might just go silent off the internet forever after this. But if you do say something, it'll probably be along the lines of, oh, I didn't know what I was doing. Which is not helpful to anyone. Jesus, I don't have time to dedicate to this subject that much anymore. Otherwise, this video is easily gonna reach 2 hours long. I just want you to know Ayato Yuri in the anime is weird. He is not some normal-ish character. He is very much every single topic that we have discussed so far. He is... I don't think there's a single scene in the anime, actually, that I could even show you with him in it that wouldn't get me banned by Censor... what do you call it? YouTube guidelines. That is that kind of character. A lot of the other characters have normal scenes, not Ayato Yuri. There's not a single one that I can think of. And you could argue the one where he saves the guy's life is a pretty normal scene. But do I need to bring up then everything that happened afterwards? No, I would rather not. I really hope this is the last time I have to speak about this anime. Please, I urge you guys, do not watch it. I'm ashamed of myself that I had to. I'm glad I did, only for the purpose that I can correct any information that was incorrect before, which was basically none. And I can give context that I was not given before by people online. My own friends didn't even know some of this stuff. So I'm glad now to firsthand know it, but I'm really upset that I had to watch that episode. I cannot explain to you guys how upsetting that episode genuinely is. And I don't know, maybe I am sensitive, I don't know, but the entire premise that the main character can just mistakenly join a photo club and then be bound to it, like his consent is automatically assumed at all times because he's in a photo club that he thought was a genuine photography club and it just happens not to be. And you're bringing that up to minors? Why? Yeah, I'm done talking about this topic. We're gonna move on swiftly to the next one, which I am almost 100% certain is not any better. God, this is so horrible. Hey guys, so the next part we're gonna talk about is a game called What in Hell is Bad Origin, which Ayato recommended to V to play. So, before I get further into that, I need to use this tiny half a minute to thank Aoi for all the work that they have done on this video. When I tell you guys this video would not have been possible without Aoi's help, I seriously mean it. Because Aoi didn't know this game, but I had way too much stuff to do already. I was already looking into the other 4 things that I've mentioned thus far: Slow Damage, New Carnival, Dark Falls, Yarichin. I did not have time then to sit and play this entire game as well on top of that. So Aoi volunteered themselves, which I refused at first, but then permitted. And if you're wondering, Max, why did you permit Aoi to play a game that is probably for adults? because the rating for it in our country is 16, which Aoi is 17 and meets that. So I didn't want Aoi to play it because at the time I was under the impression it was an 18. It is not. But that does not mean that I am comfortable still with the fact that Aoi played it, but that is overshadowed still, that feeling, by the fact that I am just so grateful that they did and could feed back to me what the hell is going on in this game. So they took a lot of screenshots of them playing through it with some screens that they figured I would need to look at to get an understanding of the game, some of which I will show to you guys, as well as keeping their thoughts in as they're texting me. So that's how we are going to discuss this and go through this. And the first screenshot is of them downloading it, saying, "I'm probably gonna get extreme PTSD from this." And I apologized immediately. I felt terrible. I felt so terrible. The loading screen is, or the download screen I should say, is the map of hell. There's all these different things. I'm not even going to try to pronounce some of these because I will make a fool of myself. And Aoi would then send me a screenshot 2 minutes later, no less. "Bro, the game just started. Why is it already referring to intimate assault?" I'm not reading this aloud, because, quite frankly, I might shrivel up and die if I do. But these are the first two that are introduced. And Aoi actually asked 19 plus, and then you look down at the first option, pioneer a 25 plus romance. And then Aoi sent a cat gif saying, "What the f?" Aoi would then send me some other screenshots, which I'm gonna show. Honestly, we were kind of coping with just how bad it was. We started to make fun of some of the characters, like Satan. Was it Satan? I think it was Satan. And we were just making fun of him for a little bit. And then there was a scene with adult content where the main character is watching adult content, presumably on the television or on a monitor. I'm looking at it now, I think it's a monitor. Aoi said that the scene, while it's playing, sound effect, and is also making their phone vibrate. Right, sorry, I haven't looked at these screenshots since they were first sent. Yeah, there is a mention. Apparently the that the main character watches is Aoi pressed skip once and then it cut to a screen of some guy getting slashed. And then I'll just show you the rest. While I talk about it, Aoi said it's a combat game with lore, but the lore is just I was actually working on this around the same time I was working on the Dark Falls, so you can actually see me sending the synopsis of Dark Falls to Aoi. And then there's screen caps like this, which, and it continues, it gets worse. And then I'm laughing, it's a little funny, it's not funny. Aoi sent me the gotcha animation, which I can't show you guys. I don't even know if I can describe it. I can try, but how the hell do I describe this? Okay, I'm gonna try my best. So, you, like, do your poll for the character, and... God, how do I say this? I gotta say this in a way that won't get me banned, but this guy's, like, we'll call them back cushions. I hope you know what I mean by that. You know, the ones you sit on. They kinda reverberate with slapping sound effects, and there is also some male sounds of enjoyment made as well while this happens. And in time, with the slapping sound effects, this guy's face changes. It, like, blushes, and then it, like, moves about, and he starts smiling, and then he stops smiling. Pretty much every single time that this guy is hit, like, on the back. Do you understand what I mean? And that is the pulling animation. And it has sound effect, as I just mentioned. And I didn't watch the full video at first, because I was just like, oh, this is already, like, really, like, lewd as it is, because it was. The characters were dressed up quite exposed, and you know, I thought that was it. And then I, like, go back to see if there's anything else, because the video is actually like 30 seconds long. And there is this exact reaction that follows between me and Aoi. And then Aoi sent me another video that is, another picture that is just straight up. So, do I think that this game is appropriate to be brought up to someone underaged? Probably not. Dude, if you can even believe it, it's also like a combat game as well. Apparently, it's a gacha combat game that happens to have in it too. I don't know how this is approved 16+, I guess because it doesn't depict any actual nudity, but it kind of does. Because there is literally a screenshot where a guy is on top of you, basically completely shirtless. Like, he is shirtless, and I don't recall him wearing it. Yeah, he's shirtless. I guess because you can't see, like, groin down, that it's 16+, but I would never have put this 16+. But it most definitely isn't okay to recommend to a 15-year-old. If the age warning and, like, the age recommendation itself was not enough for you to follow, the content in the game is not appropriate for minors. So why this was ever being recommended to one, I don't know. When I saw the screenshot, because I was looking through, I was trying to see if there was, because I remembered there was a screenshot with this game in it, but I didn't know the context. That I found out today, but I had a feeling last night I knew exactly what it was when I saw it, and my heart, like, sunk, and I was, like, really angry. I laid in bed, like, from midnight until, like, 3 a.m. I laid in bed because I just couldn't sleep. I was so angry. Because why? And the translations I would then get from my friends this morning confirm exactly what I knew, but now I had word by word to share to you guys as well. Why the f*** are you trying to get a kid to play this type of game? What the f*** is wrong with you? That's so bad. No, it's not. No, it's not appropriate. It's not appropriate. That's it. It's not appropriate at all. Why would you ever think that that might be okay? I just there's also characters in the game that are like very provocatively dressed with little to nothing to the imagination. I don't know how to describe it. Like, there's guys wearing like harnesses and stuff, if that makes sense. I don't think that's what you call them. I don't know what to call them. What you guys would call them. But that's what I would call it. And there's guys who are wearing like latex and see-through and stuff like that, you know? Like, they are very provocatively dressed. I do not under-exaggerate that. Not to mention, there are, for every character, there is a assigned. So the character Phoenix is into morphophilia. I'm not explaining what that is because it's none of my business to lecture you guys on kinks, but what I am going to tell you guys is it is in no way, shape, or form appropriate to be exposing a minor to a game that has characters assigned with that has a gacha system that has that kind of animation and sound to it. A game where the character, literally in the beginning of it, is watching. And I don't like to call it because cannot be as well. No, implies consent. It's not consensual, if that makes sense. So I don't know what to call it, but for me it doesn't come under that category. It is its own monstrous thing to me. And what the hell were you ever thinking trying to get a 15-year-old to play this? I don't know. You are a sick individual. I cannot exaggerate how sick I believe you have to be as a person to try and get a child into this game. I think that is... I think it's one of the most disgusting things I have ever witnessed in my life as an interaction between two people. And I recognize as well, as this video's gone on, I have slowly become less polite about this situation. But how could I be polite anymore? With a situation like this, how could I be expected to be nice about it? I really... You know? I feel like it's so hard to be nice to the kind of person that would do this type of thing. I've been really struggling the last few days with the anger I have. I don't know how to not let it overcome me because I feel so angry that you ever thought that this was okay. It's not okay. And because V asks you for a game because they thought they sucked at IDV, and you're going to give them a game to play, even if the game's focus is not, you're going to send them a game that has a game that they themselves are not old enough to meet the requirement to play? You are sick. I can only urge you that you need to get help because this is not normal. This is not okay. And if I'm being completely honest here, what bothers me even more is that you were doing all of this and you still felt safe enough to come and speak to me thinking that either you thought I would never find out or you thought that I would be okay with this kind of stuff. In no way in hell am I ever going to be okay with this, and this is my public statement now to anyone else who is severely misguided. I do not condone this stuff. When I talk about my community and I'm going to protect my community, I mean it. The vulnerable members of my community will always come first before the number of fans I have. I don't care. If I lose 200 because of making a video like this, I don't care. Leave. Because I don't need people like this to support me, you know? I don't care. Minor safety is my priority when it comes to my community. You know, because minors cannot stand up for themselves, really. And historically that's been proven as well, multiple times with different instances within the IDV community itself. Minors are not able to historically stand up for themselves in the face of predators. I am going to do everything I can to protect these minors from predators, from people with behavior like yours. Because your behavior is predatory. And I'm sick. I'm so sick of this stuff happening. And I never thought... Sorry, I'm just looking at my list. I never, ever thought that something like this would happen in my community. And I'm sick. I'm so disgusted. How dare you? Honestly, how dare you be doing this type of stuff to a minor and then come into my DMs? How dare you? Because in what world did you ever think that I was going to keep my positive view on you if I ever discovered this? Did you know I would ever discover this? Did you think it would never happen? Did you think that I would agree with it? Did you... What was the thought process behind this exactly? Because I am someone who believes in putting this to light so that I can protect other minors from your actions. And that unfortunately does mean putting your name out. Because if you send a minor a friend request, I can at least assure that I have protected that minor, provided that they've watched this video first and they know you. And they know you for what you've done. You can't make a call-out video on this kind of situation. I agree, it's not right. If I were to sit here and just insult you endlessly for like 2 hours, that's not the right way to do it. But I can explain why all of these things are wrong. And I can help other people then to realize that these behaviors are harmful, that these behaviors are putting them in danger, and if you are a minor yourself, putting you in danger. It's not okay. Never was this ever going to be okay, and quite frankly, I cannot hold back how angry I am. Like, what the hell were you thinking? Messaging minors like this. And again, I have to ask, what was your intention? Because I, as an adult, cannot think of what the hell I would want from a minor if I'm messaging them in this kind of way. And I'm not messaging them in this kind of way because I'm not that kind of person. But you are, so what the hell was the thought process behind this? Because I don't understand. I don't get it. Why are you texting little kids like this? In no way was I ever going to sit here and hold your hand and tell you that this was okay. I think you are disgusting. And I sincerely hope, as I said again, if anyone wants to unfollow me after this, go. You know where the door is, because I don't care. I want my community to be safe. I do not want people who are going to be texting minors inappropriately in my community. You're not welcome. I'm not going to protect you. I am not going to sit here and argue any moral reasoning behind why you might be justified. I think you are scum, and I hope you will. I can't say that, actually. I just... You're not welcome here. You're not welcome. I'm not going to protect any of you. I believe you all come from the same disgusting evil source, and I'm not going to entertain the idea that any of you are innocent. If you can seek help and change your ways, I will support you if you genuinely want to try. But a lot of people just say that and then never do it, and I'm really frustrated by it. I'm not gonna protect you. I'm not protecting anyone like you. You're all disgusting. Okay, so about an hour ago now, actually closer to an hour and 10 minutes ago, I asked you guys to remember that Ayato told me he was gonna turn 18 soon. His birthday's the 9th of May. As of recording this, it is 8 days away. Happy birthday for then. Because I know you're watching, happy birthday for then. But the funny thing about him telling me that he's turning 18 is that it's not what he told V on what I think is near enough the same day or a day or two out. he told V that he's turning 17. Which of these is true? I don't know. Is it possible he lied to sound older to me so that I wouldn't, like, unadd him immediately or whatever? Because you guys know I have kind of strict communication when it comes to minors. Yeah, that's possible. Is it also possible, though, given the context of everything I've brought up in this situation, that he lied to be younger so that V wouldn't unadd him immediately? Yes, that is also true. Is it even more possible, given the context of everything in this video, that Ayato is neither 17 nor 18 soon, and could be way older or way younger? Yes, both are possible. When I was looking into the ways that Ayato was speaking, I didn't necessarily get the impression of someone who is terribly young, so in my mind I've already ruled out 13, 14-ish. When I was speaking to my boyfriend about this entire situation, his immediate reaction is, this guy is 19 youngest, and probably older than that. Just based off of the nature of what has been said, and the type of material this guy has exposed to, and how adamant he is to expose a minor to this kind of content. My boyfriend does not think that he is some clumsy 16-year-old who just doesn't know boundaries. And I'm inclined to say that even if he was a clumsy 16-year-old who didn't know boundaries, I don't care. I'm gonna criticize it the same, because even if this guy is not a predator, I feel like these kind of situations where a minor is being exposed to terrible content should not be ignored just because the other person involved might also be a minor. I feel like this still needs drawing attention to, because even if this is not anything like an adult doing this, I still feel like there is a huge issue in these conversations with the obvious lack of consent. Namely that V cannot consent to being sent any of this material purely for the face of being too young. V does not meet the consent law in Romania. The consent law is 16, and while they do have closeness law, which is within 5 years of age they can consent with each other, that's irrelevant to this situation, because closeness laws do not apply to being sent materials online and such like that. V does not meet the age to consent to being sent any of this stuff. V does not meet the age to be viewing any of this stuff. There's a chance Ayato does not even meet the age to view this kind of stuff, but at the very least, the lack of consent is a huge issue. As I've shown across screenshots, and I will continue to show across many screenshots, Ayato repeatedly breaches consent and repeatedly brings us up over and over again, various different things, constantly trying to expose V to very intimately motivated material, intimately motivated phrases. The language that Ayato sometimes uses is far too vulgar. And that is why I have made this video, even despite the possibility that Ayato might be a minor. Because, in short, I don't care. Because it might just be me, but I feel like a lot of minors still know not to do this kind of stuff, because you are raised to not do certain things as part of just being a nice, decent human being, you know? Example, I was raised to not touch someone's hair without asking first. This means that if I'm standing behind someone, I don't just grab a bunch of their hair and start braiding it for them. I have to ask first, you know? Just as an example of where I've been taught consent in my life, and I feel like that's true of a lot of other people as well. I have been raised from a young age to not send inappropriate material to anyone as a minor, and to not send it to minors as well. From a very young age, I've been raised to not do that because it's dangerous. And even if Ayato is a minor, I still cannot believe for a second that Ayato is not aware of any of this stuff that I'm mentioning now. That is why my criticisms are still so heavy, even though they might possibly be directed to a minor. There is also the part where I don't entirely believe that this person is a minor, but I have no evidence as such to prove it. This is why the entire video I have been talking about it as a plausible scenario. They might be a minor, they might not be a minor. The bad thing about being a minor is that it does not give you exemption from doing good or bad. Where I exist, the criminal age is 10, where you can be sentenced to prison and stuff like that. I'm not sure what it is for Romania. I didn't search it up for this video because nothing they're doing under Romanian law is illegal anyway, so it doesn't make sense. But the point I'm trying to get at is, I believe that even if this person is a minor, there should still be consciousness within this person that what they are doing is wrong. And even just on the point of lying alone, that deception is enough for me to sit here and say this is 100% guilty behavior, because if this person can knowingly lie near enough on the same day, quite possibly on the same day, then who's to say this person is just innocent to everything else wrong that they've done? If they can knowingly lie, what's stopping them from knowingly sending mature content to a minor, supposedly without knowing that it might be good or bad? The other thing I want to cover is the dates they discussed ages was very, very, very recently. When I was speaking to V said the start of their communication, V could have been 13 to 14. And at the time of recording this, they were 15. So for an entire year, God knows how long this specific inappropriate material aspect has been going on for. But for an entire year of potentially sending inappropriate content to a child, not once did you think to ask for that child's age. So on that basis as well, I'm going to say that you are guilty as shit, because it's the responsibility of whoever is bringing it up to make sure that they're bringing it up to someone appropriate of age. It is never the responsibility of the other person to tell you that they are not of age if it has not even been a question that's been asked yet. Does that make sense? And as mentioned before, V has tried multiple times to shift the conversation, and it has been just brought up over and over and over again. This persistence is what unnerves me most about this, because did you not feel any shame for a second anytime he tried to shift the subject? Do you not realize that he was actively trying to get you to stop without being mean to you? Did you not feel embarrassed that you kept pushing his boundaries? Did you not notice? I don't believe that you didn't notice for a second, because why should I? You lied about your age. You knowingly kept doing this over and over again. Over how long of a period, I don't know. But I'm pretty certain it's been a lot longer than what these screenshots show me. And what am I to say? So, with that in mind, guys, I don't know that this guy's a minor or not. As I stated, I don't care if he's a minor or not. I'm going to criticize this as I would anyone else. The overall point of this segment is being a minor doesn't give you exemption, and you can still be a scumbag if you're a minor. There's also the other argument, right? Which is in no one's defense, really, but is also to say, even if you are a minor, you're still sending this content to another minor. And that in itself is wrong. You know? So just give that some thought, please, while you listen through this video. I probably should have put this at the start, but it felt a lot easier to explain all of the content first so that you can understand why we are building up to this point. It's not appropriate, and quite frankly, as I said, I don't care that you might be a child or not. This is not okay. Even if you are a child, you should know better. You should have asked for ages way sooner. Actually, One of the first things I usually do when I intend to contact someone for a long time, or even when I'm just playing with someone, even if it's just for one day, one of the first things I ask is, how old are you? Because I'm not going to go on voice call with someone who is a minor. Just because that sometimes I can have quite vulgar language, and I don't want to expose them to that. In my YouTube videos, I can censor it out a little bit, but I cannot censor out live talking, you know? And that's just for voice call, that's not even, you know, sending any material or anything. You should have asked ages ago. So, I don't understand then why it ever got this far, why it took you until literally like a week and a half ago to finally tell V an age, and you're lying about it. To one of us, you're lying about it, or to both of us, you're lying about it. Do you understand how concerning that is to me? And of course, at the time as I record this, V has obviously cut contact. This goes without saying, Ayato, don't you dare try get back into contact with V again. V is done and doesn't want to speak to you ever again. And you'll know that because I know what your last messages looked like. I just... Why? You volunteered your age to me on the same day you met me, and you couldn't give the same respect to V. Why? We didn't even talk about anything bad, and you volunteered your age. I didn't even ask your age because I didn't intend to speak with you more than on that day. I just wanted to say thank you, and that was it. We had some nice conversation, and I thought you seemed nice, and that was my mistake. Learning the kind of person you are now, I'm disgusted I ever thought you were nice. But that's my bad, and I'm going to learn from that in the future to be more skeptical of the people I meet. But you couldn't hold the same respect for V. You never asked V how old they were. And if you did, then why the hell were you sending this content to them knowing how old they were? It doesn't make sense to me, Ayato. I don't understand. You know? There's also some... Hold on, let me open up my folder, because I have to look at this. Again, I've been working on this for like a week straight now, and I'm exhausted. Actually, it's been more than a week. There is more screenshots, as I mentioned. These two had an argument, and there was also... Oh yeah, there was also... I'm not saying that good. There was also this, which you sent V, which might be nitpicky, but I asked Aoi, and Aoi said it's not appropriate because it's a adult joke that you're sharing with a minor, and I am in agreement. You also have this, which is abysmal. When I sent this to my friend for translation, his reaction was not charming at all. And why? Why the would you be sending this stuff to V? I don't understand. I mean, oh my god, you know, like, hold on, let me pull up his translations, because I don't have them memorized. God, you're telling V about, like, twinks and stuff like that, which is very adult, you know. I know it's kind of, like, has been a joke for a while within minor communities. I grew up in a lot of communities where, like, 14-year-olds were joking about it. But when we don't know your age and you're joking about it with someone who's 15, it raises flags for me. And also, you're talking about how someone called Maro, I don't know who Maro is or what he's from. He's not from any of the materials I looked into, I don't think, so I don't know anything about that personally. I couldn't look into it for this video. But you mentioned about Maro in, like, underpants or something along those lines, and then you're talking about how you want to have with fictional characters because you love them that much to a minor. And then, yes, V says to not blur and that it's okay. It's not okay. Part of the reason that minors cannot consent is because they say stuff like this out of naivety. No, minors do not know what is good and what is not. This is why they cannot consent. Because they have a curiosity about them, and they don't have the capacity really to fully understand what they're consenting to. When V said not to blur, you should have just stopped talking entirely. But you didn't, you carried on, and you said that you're gonna say more freaky stuff. To a minor. What the hell is wrong with you? Seriously, what the hell is wrong with you? And I gotta find my friend's initial reaction. It's gonna take me some time. Because me and my friend have messaged since then. As I said, my friend wishes to stay anonymous. I'm not surprised, believe it or not. But, oh my god, you know? Let me find the reaction. Yeah, the very first thing. It's not okay in the slightest. Dude mentions a twink and about Maru being underpants. I refuse to believe this guy is 16. You know how serious that is? You know how what you have to say probably is? And you know what's even worse? Because I speak multiple language, I know how this works. My friend can only translate so well back into English, but there are going to be parts where meaning is lost between languages. I'm very conscious of this because I speak multiple language. So it's bad enough in English, but I can't imagine that there might have even been some meaning or some other alternative phrasing that has been lost that is so much worse when you speak Romanian fluently. I cannot imagine how bad the original message actually looks to a Romanian-speaking person. Because it looks awful to me in English, and I am really ashamed. On your behalf, I'm ashamed, because what the hell is this? Disgusting. You are disgusting. And yeah, as I said, I don't even need to really elaborate on the other one. It's a joke that you're not meant to be having with minors. I'm so... What do I even say? Help me out here. What do I even say about any of this that is gonna make it seem okay? Because... Ayato, if you're still watching this, these are your messages. Help me out here. What the hell kind of excuse could you possibly have for this? I am so... I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. I am so, like, distressed over this entire situation. And when I'm actually talking to V in DMs, there is so much more. And V literally said, I told him no need to blur just so I'd kind of force his hand on being weirder, though I wanted to see how far this man would go. That statement right there, oh, V wanted it? No, shut up. That statement right there is exactly why minors cannot consent to these kind of things. Because they don't know how dangerous it is. They don't know how bad they're getting themselves into. That statement right there, I just wanted to see how far this man would go, is exactly why V could never have consented to any of this in the first place. What the hell are you doing sending a minor like this stuff? And and the other thing I want to point out, you could argue because they discussed ages so late, Ayato could actually be innocent because he didn't know V was a minor. No, you're dumb, because Ayato should have asked, 1. And 2, when I'm speaking to V, I can tell V is a minor. Like, maybe it's just, like, I don't even know how to put it. Like, the way V talks about the situation, there's a lack of... Like, there's seriousness, but there's a lack of, like, fully understanding just how bad this is. That immediately tells me this guy is a minor. Because that level of innocence, you would never find it in an adult. Ever. No way. You would never find it in an adult being sent this kind of content. That is how I knew that V is a minor. And You can tell that just from the messages, the way V was talking. You can literally tell, yeah, this is a minor. So I do not believe for a second that Ayato did not know, even before asking. So do what you will with that information. But I am really, really angry by this situation. It should have never happened. They also said they're going to strangle V's, how do you say, his, Ayato, what the f*** is all of this? In what world was any of this okay to be brought up with a minor? For anyone who is curious, yes, that's wrong. Oh my god, how are you gonna sit there and say that you're gonna strangle a minor's and just live your life okay? No. This is why I'm talking about it, because Vic talked to this guy at least a year prior to the date of these messages that I've been showing through this video, in what they tell me. So this video I'm making is to show this behavior upfront and outright, and also to put this guy's name out there to protect other minors. Because I know there are a portion of my audience who might be younger, who might stumble across this video. I don't encourage watching it really because the content is so adult, but it's also important to a degree for them to see what problematic behavior like this looks like, so that they can identify it maybe in their own friendships and point out, hey, this guy's doing a lot of bad stuff, and I've got another guy who's kind of messaging me in a similar way, maybe I should block him too. But also just to put this guy's name out there so people can know this guy is texting minors inappropriately, and if you see him in a server with other minors, then you can take action, you can, you know, report him for the servers he's in and stuff like that, you know? There's also the obvious part that I mentioned, again, like an hour and a half now, probably, on the recording. I don't know how long this will be when I put it onto the video itself, where I mentioned he made a video showcasing RDMs. Well, that was before I found out about all this, and now there's a video publicly of me saying that this guy is nice, and I would never want to be caught dead supporting a guy like this. No, no way. I would never want to publicly support someone with these kind of behaviors. So this is also my public statement to say now, that video is outdated. I don't support this guy. I don't think he's nice. I don't think he's cool. I don't think anyone should become friends with this guy. Because he texts minors like this. And this is my public statement. That video is invalid. If you see it, I don't condone it anymore. Because I didn't know about it at the time, and now I do. I'm gonna have a migraine soon. I've had migraines every single day since this situation started. I've been on painkillers since this situation I found out. That doesn't mean I regret speaking about it though. I regret nothing. I know I'm doing the right thing, but it has cost me physically too. You guys might notice that I started to take a break pretty much immediately after the Mary Patroller video. This is why. This situation is why I took a break. Because I needed to message a lot of different people about it. I needed to message V, I needed to message Sai, I needed to message my friend to do translations, I needed to message my best friend, Patricia, because, as I mentioned earlier, when in a situation like this, I tend to get a little clouded by my thoughts and emotion, and I need someone else to point it out to me to say, hey, here's some alternatives for you to think about. Patricia was doing that for me, and I love her for that. I reached out a little bit to my boyfriend. I needed to reach out to Aoi. I also, honorary mention, reached out to Kaiser. Something I really didn't want to do, but bless him, he's got a good heart, and took it very well. I never wanted to expose him to this kind of situation up front, but I was struggling for what to do. And he gave me some good advice and materials to structure my response around. Though in hindsight, looking at the video now, I know that I have deviated from that quite a bit. I don't know how well I've handled this situation. All I know is that V is not in contact with Ayato anymore. Ayato, by the time I upload this, will be unadded. The only reason I have kept him in my friend list is so that I can keep a record of our messages should I need to screenshot them again. As I said, please, if you have not, go watch Sai's video. Sai's video is a lot shorter than this one. And I'm going to credit everyone who has helped me to make this in the description below. In terms of what we can learn from this, the very simple lessons are just around consent and asking age. Always make sure you ask the age of everyone you speak to. Never send inappropriate content of yourself or anyone else to anyone that you do not firmly know the age of. And never engage in these intimate conversations if you are a minor, because they are dangerous. It's not normal to be friends with adults, and actually, it's really, really dangerous. Look, take my word as an adult. Me being friends with a minor, I would hate to do that, because I would hate for that minor to think that that's normal and then, be friends with other adults, because Max Martinez is my friend and they're an adult. And then maybe they befriend an adult who is genuinely with bad intention. I would hate to do that, because in my opinion then I'm directly responsible for that. So that's why I don't like to become friends with minors, and even if they're on my friend list in IDV, I generally don't speak much to them at all. I'll give advice on the game and stuff like that I have, but otherwise outside of that we don't talk. We're not like having day-to-day catch-ups or anything like that. Because it's not appropriate for that exact reason, And so always make sure you know who you're talking to, the age of who you're talking to. In this situation, V did, mostly everything right. I told him not to, in hindsight, not to encourage this kind of behavior in the future, but overall, that is still not V's fault, because as I mentioned, that exact behavior is why children cannot consent. The responsibility of everything that has happened then is on Ayato's shoulders. You lied about your age. You lied about other things, I'm sure, in your messages. You sent all of this inappropriate stuff. You would constantly put V down for the way that they played Mary, which I have seen, by the way, yes, and I don't approve of that either. Believe it or not, when I say that I don't think anyone is bad at anything, I truly mean it. I think that we all just have progress to learn, but I think that we can all learn, a day at a time. I don't think anyone should be told that they're bad. I think that that's really dumb and really demotivating. Because it's never, as I've said before in other videos, it's never helpful to anyone to be told that they're bad. Why are they bad? Tell them that part. That part is a helpful part. Not the part where you're just sitting there saying that they're bad and they're trash. Tell them why they're bad. Tell them what they could do to become better. That's what I've always said in all of my videos. I've always said that's the kind of information that you should be giving to people so that they know what to improve on. And a really good example, actually, of good criticism is the comments that Kaiser leaves under just about every single one of my gameplay. If you want to see what really good criticism looks like, that's it. Because, well, you don't have to go into as much detail as he does, but it gives me a lot to know what I need to work on, Like, maybe my persona web for a character was really busted, or maybe I was using my skills up a little impulsively and I wasn't aiming very well at all. Or maybe I wasn't aiming them at all, I was just spamming them, Maybe I didn't get an efficient down, or maybe I got, didn't pressure ciphers hard enough, But I don't know these things, either unless I look back or unless Kaiser gives me that information. But, could you imagine if Kaiser were to just message under my comments, oh, you're just really trash, Like, what am I meant to do with that information? Gee whiz, glad you think so, Kaiser. Hell. Like, that's, like, what I mean, That's the difference between good criticism and bad criticism. If someone comes under my comments And people have done it before, but they come under my comments, are like, Max, you're just really bad. Gee whiz, thanks. The hell am I meant to do with that, though? Oh, shucks, I'm glad you think so. You know? Just things like that, you know? But the general message of this entire video, if anyone is messaging you in these ways, obviously block them, but, you know, tell someone else as well what's going on that you can trust, you know? A friend, maybe, who can help you to see why it's bad, because sometimes it's hard to see why these situations are bad, or you want to believe the best in the person you're talking to. Sometimes there is just no good there, and you need a friend to set you straight. Please speak to someone that you can trust about these situations. Because what has happened is not okay, and as I keep saying over and over again, I do not condone this behavior. It's not welcome in my community. I will always protect my community. And I hope that this video has been insightful for people to learn what predatory behavior looks like. And I hope that maybe it has helped people to reflect on their own past experiences, present experiences, or even present behaviors, to say, oh hey, actually I do overstep boundaries sometimes. You know, I need to probably change this and this. I fully agree, I fully support it. You know, as I said, you know, I've been very angry this video, but, you know, if you genuinely are a scummy person but want to change, I support you. But you have to show that you want to change, and to do that, you have to actually make the attempt to change. I'm not gonna support behavior that, you know, I'm not gonna support, like, oh, I'm gonna change, and then 3 months later, you're still doing the same shit. I'm not gonna support that. Because if the behavior you're doing and not working on actively is harming other people, why will I support that? In your inability to work on yourself, you're still harming other people, and I find that to be really selfish. As I've already stated, there will be a follow-up video sometime after this, probably not immediately, I'm exhausted from making this one. But there will be a follow-up video that relates to the behaviors of the much larger, wider IDV community. This is just one instance that has been brought to me and highlighted to me that I wanted to discuss today, but I'm going to be tackling, hopefully in a much shorter video, the more problematic behaviors that are normal in the IDV community and how we can maybe look to be aware of them or even begin to dismantle them. So I don't know when that video will come. As I said, I'm probably going to go back to normal uploads for a little bit, but expect that at some point in the near future. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope that this has been educational. I'm really sorry that the content in this video is so upsetting and graphic. Any screenshots that I have forgotten to discuss, I am going to show on the screen anyway during this entire segment, so that you can see what these messages continue looking like. But thank you so much for watching, everyone, and as I said, respect in the comments please for everyone involved. Everyone who has helped me to make this video that wants credit will be getting credit in the description below. Anyone who's asked to be anonymous will remain anonymous, but will still be credited in the description for what they've done. Thank you so much, everyone. Goodbye. Hi everyone, this is post-editing Max here. I just want to say that I have spent over a week now on this video, and throughout this video I had a wrong idea that I have tried to correct in a panic over the last 12 hours, which is that these guys were talking for a year straight. That's not true. By my understanding, after reviewing my conversations with V, these guys were in contact a year ago, then lost contact, and then got back into contact. So it doesn't change the situation really at all. Ayato is still very predatory in my opinion. But what it does change is the time course of which these messages and interchanges happened. The screenshots that I've shown today all took place between the 19th and the 24th, to my understanding. That is 5 days. 5 days since they got back into contact, escalating all the way up to sending very inappropriate art and mentioning very inappropriate games. It only took 5 days. The timeline as it stands as well is that they did discuss ages on the 19th. I'm not sure if the 19th was when they met again or near enough, but it's around that time that they met, they shared ages, and then the inappropriate messages continued anyway. So I hope that that clears things up. Yes, Ayato knew that this guy was 15. No, he did not care. Yes, he still sent inappropriate stuff afterwards. And so, despite the fact that there might have been some errors that slipped through that I've forgotten to correct now, this statement right here is me to say that, yes, I got those things wrong. I have tried my best to correct them through the entire video. Unfortunately, this video is so long, there's only so many times I can watch through it for editing errors. I can only watch this video 12 times in a day before we are on the next day, so I have tried my best to correct it, but where these errors still exist, I have corrected them on text notes throughout the video around the 1 hour and 30 minute mark. This is an audio correction now for people who are playing this on the background, but anyone who is watching the actual video and has been reading the little text notes throughout will know that I have already corrected this quite a fair bit earlier. I will recap and summarize again. These guys met presumably again around the 19th. They had known each other a year prior but lost contact. All of these inappropriate messages happened over the course of like 5 days. Ayato knew the age of V by the 19th, so the messages then that came on the 22nd and 23rd about dark falls, slow damage, about all of those inappropriate images from New Carnival, those all came after finding out that V was 15, so no matter how you turn this, Ayato is still absolutely in the wrong. But thank you for taking the time to listen to this if you've made it this far. I never wanted this type of video to ever enter my channel, but I have said to you many times when I make these heavier content videos that my community will forever be a priority for me. I'm going to protect my community because it's part of what I believe to be my duty as a content creator, but I will always also advocate for the rest of the community. My platform is a safe space for people who do not have their own voice to share their voice. So my comments are fully open for perspective or sharing your own experiences in relation to like this, or even if you just want to share your support with anyone who's involved in this situation. Sai, V, my comments are completely open for anything along those lines. I hope that this all makes sense. As I mentioned, again, there will be a video following up. Probably not immediately because I'm going to go back to posting regular content for a little bit. A video like this is really heavy to make and has been very physically taxing on me, so I'm probably going to return to normal uploads for a little bit, but at some point in the near future there will be a video that I will make in relation to these kind of behaviors and the wider IDV community. But I just wanted to, with the permission of both V and Sai, shed light onto this particular instance of my community and make my public statement clear that I do not condone this behavior. This type of behavior is not permissible in my community, and as I have stated earlier, I will never ever protect anyone along these lines. And there is nothing that Ayato could say, in my opinion, that will ever make me believe of any innocence. Messaging someone that you know is 15 about 18 plus content, trying to get them to play a game that is 16 plus in my country, but when I look into it further, is meant to be 17 plus, is disgusting. There is nothing you can say that will clear your name, and thank God for that, honestly, because how you ever thought any of this is okay, I lay awake in nights not understanding or ever finding an answer. I don't understand. I never will, I don't think. I'm just glad that V is away from you now, and I'm really hoping that this video will be able to help others to realize that these kind of behaviors are also not okay. Thank you very much for making it this far if you have. Thank you. Hey, happy birthday, Ayato. It's the 9th of May, or it was yesterday. But I'm gonna tell these events as if it's still the 9th because they happened on the 9th. So, I think it was about 2 in the afternoon. I can check this literally right now. I don't know why I'm using I think and maybe, because I literally have my Discord server up. I opened a Discord server. This is not an advertisement for that. You tried to join my server, Ayato, and that surprised me because I've made quite a few posts now about this upload in particular, going so far as showing part of the thumbnail, which directly has your DMs, going so far as showing the credits, which directly mentions V and Sai, who I thought you would recognize, which was really weird to me that you didn't. But whatever, you tried to join my server and I banned you. Here's the evidence for that. Yeah, you see, it's really funny because you trying to join my Discord server prompted me to check your TikTok again, which I'd done anyway to see if you'd taken down my DMs with you. You know, if you'd realized that this video was going to be about you or not, and you took it down in advance, or if you made your own post or whatever. You didn't, and you haven't. But I thought that maybe you would take it down now that we directly banned you from the server. You didn't, which was really bizarre. But I dug deeper into your account and I found this. What is this? What is this, Ayato? Watch me get these Chinese dog eaters out of my matches? And someone by the user Shen asked you why you had to be racist? And you said that you're just tired of them in your matches and had to get rid of them? But she went about using a stereotype to refer to them? And you're not rage bait because I know every video on your account. This is the only one of that nature. You're not rage bait, Ayato, so these are your genuine feelings towards players with Chinese username? That you think they are disgusting dog eaters? Again, I have to ask myself, at what point did you ever think all of this was okay? You're texting minors and you're racist as well? And I find this out on your birthday? You posted this video just over a month ago? So it's not even like 3 years ago video, it's like literally last month? And I don't know who the disgusting trash are in your comments agreeing with you. They can go f themselves too, but you are disgusting. You are really disgusting, Ayato. I can't believe there was ever a world where you thought that I would agree with you, maybe, or whatever else, or you thought that this shit was cool. Again, I don't know if I'm, like, I don't know if it's my fault if my content made you feel safe to be this disgusting. My content is meant to feel safe to the right people. You know, we all get together, we all be nice to each other, we all respect each other. That's what my content promotes. But I do not... Again, I've got to say this now, because you have a video on your platform where I say that you seem nice and I hope good things happen to you. I cannot say with any more emphasis that it is invariably the opposite now. But I have to state right now for everyone, right now, I do not stand with this stuff. I don't think that Chinese players or Chinese usernames are anything that should be hated or really even feared. I don't think that. And I find it really disgusting that you would perpetuate something so disgusting. Knowing that I have publicly made stances, either in my comment sections with other people, or literally on video. But, you know, if you can take your experience that you have learned from and apply it to the next match, then even if you lose that, you've learned even more, you know? I believe that each experience is valuable, even if you are up against full team comp with VC or Smurf team, you know? Because it's important to see how they kite me, how they loop me, because they are inevitably better than me. That's a fact of life, you know? But instead of getting stressed and nervous about it, I could turn it into an opportunity. That's why I believe that for as annoying as it is to face survivors and hunters who are very, very better at you, I worded that badly, hold on. Let me try that again. For facing players who are just like inevitably like way above your tier or skill, I still think it's an important experience to have. You know, it is frustrating, I fully understand, but I would be happier against a full team of Smurf than I ever would to just never have that match in the first place, you know? Where I have said that I do not hate players with Chinese username. I don't hate them whether they are genuinely Smurfs or whether they're just players who, you know, happen to be Chinese. I don't hate them. I've said that multiple times on my post. I think that we should respect them. Because they are still human beings deep down, you know, who will have their own weaknesses. If you're getting beat by them, you know, to a degree, it might not be your fault if they're genuinely Smurfing, but a lot of these are not Smurf. So, to continue to perpetuate the idea that everyone with a Chinese username is a Smurf, and then to throw a racist stereotype on top, you are disgusting, Ayato. So, yeah, technically it's May 10th, but I found all of this out on May 9th. I mean, if the talking to minors about 18 plus content wasn't enough, I'm so definitely glad to have found this on Banju, because there are members of my community who are Chinese on the server. And could you imagine that we had let you on there, interacting, maybe you were complaining about some of these guys, can you believe that? And you thought I would ever consider letting that possibility happen? No way. No way. One of the things I've learned from opening up my Discord server is that my community is a lot more diverse than I thought it was. I thought I had a lot of American player, which is true. I have a lot of American fan base. I thought I had a lot of Russian fan base, which is also true. But I have a good portion of my fan base who are from various different places across East Europe and Asia. A lot of people who know Chinese, a lot of people who know Japanese, a lot of people who are from some other places surrounding in those areas. I've learned a lot from interacting with these guys, and again, I just think you are insane. Even if your comments are not directed to the people in my community specifically, I still feel for the people that you played against, for how it would be should they have seen that. Where they were literally just playing a game and then getting called dog eaters for it. Get over yourself, Ayato, you're not that it's not that big, it's not that big. Getting matched with people with foreign username from anywhere is not that big of a deal, honestly. As I said, a lot of these people are human, and what they definitely do not need is racial insults thrown at them. You're disgusting. I have nothing more to say on this at all. Just, this guy is messaging minors, and he's really, really racist to my knowledge. And that's just what I can find publicly on your account as well, I want to add. That's not including anything else you're saying in private, of which I am not currently aware, because to my knowledge, you haven't shared anything of that nature with V, but what else you say in other Discord servers, I will not know. And I am dreaded to think that if you can post something like that so freely and happily, online, what else you're probably saying in your private messages with other people who think like you in that same degenerate way. Stay away from my community, please. Thank you very much. You're not welcome here. This goes without saying. Anyone else with a similar philosophy, stay away, because I don't welcome that kind of thinking. If you're going to hurl racial stereotypes at someone who just plays a game, then you need help. It is a game. It is a game. There are better things in the world than winning or losing. You can honestly get over it. It's fine. You know? I don't you know what I mean? And it's really backwards as well, because my entire channel is on the basis of you can make mistakes and improve, it's okay. You know, learning your weaknesses, learning how to overcome them, that's my entire channel's premise. I am not a perfect player, and I'm not saying this as a perfect player. I'm not saying this to say, oh, I'm so good and everyone else is bad. If you're losing to Smurfs, you suck. That's not it, because I lose to Smurfs as well. But you know what I do? I take accountability. I look back and I take accountability and I go, hey, okay, so I mirrored prematurely there, or I did this, or I missed my blink, and oh, this guy actually outsmarted me, or they were early rotating and I didn't find who I wanted to. And I take accountability for that and I learn from it. What I don't do is go online and type out racial insults about people, strangers, you know? You are crazy. You are disgusting. Every day it seems like I find something new about you, even after I've already stopped talking to V. It seems like every day there is something new with you that is just so disgusting. So this is my final thing that I'm going to cover, even if I find more later. If I find more later, maybe I might make a part 2 to this, I don't know. But I am not doing any more after this, because this is too much. This is way too much. Why everywhere you go, shit stinks? I never thought that you could be such a fundamentally f***ed human being. Stay away from my community. Stay away from me. You're not welcome. Thank you. So, behind the scenes for making this video, it's been like 2 weeks now. Some of my closest friends watched the video, the incomplete version, and some other people that I didn't intend to. A user by the name of Boyfriend especially left a lot of very good criticism, actually. Or rather reactions, I should call it, not criticism. He didn't really criticize it. But he left a lot of good reactions that would help me understand how my audience, him as an audience, would react possibly to the video. And it helped me to notice my stronger parts of the video and my weaker parts of the video. So I want to give credit to him for that. That was really helpful, and he didn't have to sit down and do that at all, but he did. And we had some small conversations in the comment section of the incomplete version, which I've been made aware of is available actually through my playlist, Let's Talk. You can find it there. I never intended for it to be public, really, but whoops, I'm gonna leave it up because it's a stage of development for me. So you can compare it if you want to the final version, which is what you're listening to now. But it's there in my Let's Talk playlist, unlisted, and it should be the 5th video. But I also had a close friend, Patricia, review it as well, and Patricia is credited by she's credited to be my very brutally honest, she gets me to think about different things that maybe I wouldn't have otherwise thought of or wanted to. One of the things she pointed out was a criticism that this video is probably going to get, which is that this situation involving V and Ayato is nothing compared to the other evils outside, which is true. I don't want to say that, but it's true. There are much worse people out there who are a lot more evil than Ayato. And this is not in Ayato's defense, and Patricia was not saying it in Ayato's defense. She was bringing it up as a point that other people would be willing to make. And I'm going to take this brief, about 5 minutes or less, to give my honest stance on this. And then any comments around this nomer is going to probably just be met with a timestamp to this section. I don't care, honestly, what you think. In terms of, oh, this been worse, or this could have been worse, or this is nothing, or this is not even bad. The honest point, fallen through, is Ayato shouldn't have been texting a 15-year-old about this stuff. That's it. That is all that you need to know. I am not going to sit here and give you comparisons or metaphors, if your child was being talked to like this, because quite frankly, I think that if you need to have it be personal to you, for you to understand that this is wrong, then it's probably not even worth my time to try and get you to understand, because chances are you just won't. That type of... that lack of empathy is one that I do not care to even entertain. A 15-year-old boy has been messaged by a presumably older man or such like that about very inappropriate adult material, has been sent screenshots from very inappropriate adult material games, almost all of which are rated 18 plus or at the very least are 16 plus, and still the minor is not old enough to consent to even that. So, quite frankly, I don't care about, it could have been worse, because the barriers were still broken, if you get me. I also want to point out, because I already said, I think, on this recording that I have been working on this video for 2 weeks. The amount of time that I've been working on this video is about 3 times longer than it took Ayato start to finish to talk to V about this inappropriate stuff. Let me reiterate that again. It has taken less than 3 times, as of recording this, of the amount of time for Ayato to message V about this inappropriate stuff. It took 5 days, and I'm about to hit like 15th or 16th day. My fans have been waiting 3 times as long for this video that it took Ayato to message V about that inappropriate stuff start to finish. So, no, I don't care about it could have been worse or, anything along those lines. If that's your criticism on this video, then you have sorely missed the point, and in my honest opinion, you are not even worth discussing it with. Because the point is not a competition of who has it worst. The point is, it took 5 days for this to escalate. From the first day where Ayato found out that V was only 15, to them trying to then start conversations about all of these very erotic boy loves that V should have never been exposed to. 5 days. So, I hope you will understand why my anger through this video is quite pulsing. If anyone has also not figured out, I will clarify now. This video is recorded multiple sections across different days, which is why sometimes I start a recording calm, and then I get angry. And then the next segment comes on, and I'm calm again. Even between talking about different games, they were recorded all on different days. Because this video was so emotionally hard for me to make, that I could not sit there and do the same segments on the same day. You've got to imagine. Some of these segments, like the introduction for this video, I had an old one that I did. I didn't like it anymore because I found out new information about Ayato, and suddenly the old introduction didn't make any sense anymore. So I had to re-record it with that new information. So yes, this video is recorded in multiple segments. That's why the audio changes a lot in quality. Even now, this will be so much different to every other tiny bit in my video. But I want to, for the last time, state, I do not care that other predators in the community have done a lot worse and this is nothing. I don't care. If that is all you have learned from this video, then honestly, don't even leave a comment, because that's disgusting. There is so much more that probably could have happened if Ayato had more time to talk to V. I am so lucky that this situation is not worse than it is, because I would have so much more to talk about and so much more to deal with. I'm so lucky that V, from day 1 to day 5, realized that they were really, really uncomfortable with the situation, cut contact with Ayato, and then almost immediately reached out to me about it to let me know that they were concerned for me because Ayato was messaging me. And that they wanted me to know that Ayato had done all of this so that, it wouldn't become a thing that, like, if I was messaging Ayato privately, that this wouldn't be a thing that I would then have to face as well. They wanted their story told too. And I'm so glad that V did see a way out, but for so many people in similar situations, they don't. They don't see one out until many months or even, a couple years later. So the reason I'm so angry through this video is because it took 5 days. And had V not left, it could have been so much worse. That's why I'm angry. And I'm not saying, this is not advice to child predators, slow it down next time. That's not what I mean. Don't do it at all. But my advice to people in these situations is to leave, of course. But reach out to someone who can help you. Because one of the common things that, I myself experience, or a lot of people in similar situation experience, is the feeling of wanting to go back to them. Because that person gave you their time and attention and made you feel special, or whatever the it was. They gave you compliments, they might have bought you stuff. But my God, guys, please take my word, it's not worth it. The emotional turmoil that you're going to experience, the feelings of violation every time this person starts to bring up things that you don't want to be exposed to, it's not worth it. Please just leave. It's not that easy, but let V be a good example that he left. V found courage and left. And found even more courage then to reach out to me afterwards. That's the most inspiring thing I can think of. To other victims to listen to. And I could not explain how proud I am that he did that. But that's also then, as I say, why I'm so angry at this situation. 5 days is crazy for this to happen. And yeah, I don't have any more to add to this. If all you're gonna say in the comments after this is, oh, it could have been so much worse, don't even leave a comment, because I'm just probably gonna delete it. I'm not dignifying you with a response. You're not worth my time. You're not worth anyone else's time. Don't do it. Thank you. I have one final message which will play now. Hello everyone, this is gonna be the absolute final message of my video, but 3 days ago, Sai made a post on her YouTube. It should be on screen right now, but I will read aloud anyway. Hello, I know I should have came up with a part 2 for the doctor video, but I genuinely can't bring myself to edit nor play the game right now. My confident boyfriend and best friend had tragically passed away, and I will take a break. I don't know how many of you care. Sai had reached out to me earlier even than making that post to let me know that V had passed away. The circumstances of which he passed are not mine to share, but it is quite possible that he is no longer with us anymore. It is then my request to everyone that when you speak of this situation and you speak of V and you speak with Sai, that you hold utmost respect, please. Thank you very much. For the short time I knew V, he was quite a gentle soul, and my condolences really are to Sai. Thank you very much for listening to this video, and I want to give an honorable mention to V for making this video possible. Thank you very much for reaching out to share your story. I had your permission to make this, and even after your passing, Sai gave me her blessing to continue what you wanted. I can only hope then that I have done you justice. Thank you very much, and goodbye everyone.